Was good. Let me see if I can get this phone to balance on this tree. Alright, so I'm here today, not to rap, but to vlog. And I'm not gonna lie, I already recorded this video like 6 different times, but I was trying to make it shorter because I feel bad about being a wordy fuck, and I should probably not swear as much, but I'm gonna stick with this. Anyway, point is, if you don't want to hear me talk for like 10 to 15 minutes, the main takeaways from this are: I'm not going to be MC Kenaz, like I said in my last piece that I put out. I am going to be MC Aegir, Aegir, and the last main takeaway is I got a tattoo, and I'll show you that later on in the video, probably with a more extended look at it. So we're here in sleepy, quiet Bedford, Massachusetts. A little more scenic than Lowell, but I have to apologize because MC Kenaz, for anyone that went out of their way and looked it up, and shout outs to Clover, by the way, where I had to give my notice, but dope place. Everyone should try the food there and drinks. I'm not going to be MC Kenaz because that's not the truest name of the rune from the Elder Futhark. For anyone that looked it up after my last piece that I put out, and I still don't know why this goes in and out of focus sometimes, whatever. MC Kenaz, or just Kenaz, is more some, it's the name of the rune from a later Germanic language, I believe, but it's not what the early Scandinavians, speaking like Proto-Norse and probably Old Norse still, was, they called it Kauna, Kauna. Now there's two authorities that I really look up to on this, one of which is Dr. Jackson Crawford. He's got an excellent YouTube channel that I've spent hours on. He's got like a PhD in like linguistics with specialization in Old Norse and Scandinavian languages or something, and he's got a lot of knowledge on Norse mythology as well, and the runic alphabets. Definitely an esteemed runologist. And then there's another guy I look up to. His name is Einar Selvik. He basically is Wardruna, which is the name of a music artist, and they make, for lack of a better label, Nordic folk music. He's Norwegian, musician his whole life, been playing the drums, but he's also a runologist in his own right. And they both, Wardruna made 3 albums so far, and over the course of those 3 albums, they create musical interpretations for each of the runes, each of the 24 runes of the Elder Futhark. He calls it the Kauna rune in his song for that rune, and then Dr. Jackson Crawford calls it Kauna. So I'm dissatisfied with the lack of accuracy. I mean, you'd think I would have done my research, but I think I was kind of rushing myself because I was kind of building my new pseudonym into the lyrics of that last piece, and I really wanted to put that piece out because I liked it, and it had been a little bit since I put anything out. So yeah, I'm not going to be MC Kenaz. Another reason is, and I'll probably link some stuff just for anyone that's really curious if you want to learn more about the stuff that I talk about, because I'll mention a few different things. I guess it might have originally meant more boil, blister, or sore. Now, in that last video I did put out, I mentioned how I feel like I have kind of like a claim to this name or whatever, and if you went and actually looked up Kenaz, you would have seen most likely that it is a rune from the Elder Futhark that means like torch. Now, the base level connection there is like, okay, Pete thinks he's fire. Pete thinks he spits fire, which, I mean, I do, but deeper than that, my first name and my last name, they both have meaning that some people might not be aware of. My name, Peter, comes from the Greek petra, which means rock or stone. And as a tangent, I wasn't named after a Peter. I was named after a Panayoti, but That's my dad's dad. But like a lot of Greek American families will Americanize Panayoti to Peter rather than having their son Panayoti be like a Panos or fully Panayoti in school in America, because I guess it makes it makes the person more different than you really need to be. So my name Peter means rock or stone. I wasn't named after a Peter, but this is the name that I have been given, and so my name means rock or stone. And then my last name, Fotis, which is more usually a first name actually in Greek society or Greek culture, means light, coming from the Greek word phos for light. Think like, photons of light. And again, usually a first name more commonly. I think there was a guy, he was like a very influential figure in the Greek Orthodox Church, maybe centuries ago. He was like Saint Photios or something like that. And then Photios eventually just turned into Fotis. But that's a first name. So you might be like Fotis Papageorgiou or something like that. That was the first last name that came to my mind. But anyway, I was like, torches illuminate. My name means light, so that's kind of sick. And all along, I wanted to make my name, after deciding that I wasn't going to be Makari, I wasn't going to be Audio Titan, and Makari's already a band, as I mentioned before, and I'm not just going to make myself MC Makari. Plus, I think that's too many syllables for a name, and so had to keep thinking. I was like, all right, what am I going to be if I'm not going to be those? And I thought about Vishuddha. I've always wanted to, even with Makari, it's kind of like a wink at some other language or some other thing that maybe people can go learn about if they're curious. I wanted to make my name some sort of conduit, an avenue for people to be able to go explore some other thing, field, topic. So Vishuddha, as I was thinking about, that's the Sanskrit word for the throat chakra, which is pretty fucking sick. But there's already some like EDM DJ or something who goes by Vishuddha, so I couldn't do that. But Sanskrit is a cool language. And then I kept thinking about it. I didn't find anything else in Sanskrit that I thought was really cool. I think Sanskrit would be a cool thing to like make my name be a wink at, because it is the language of yoga. And yoga's dope, and there's Sanskrit words that we still use today. For example, guru is a Sanskrit word. There's other examples too, but Sanskrit's a cool language. It's the language that the Vedas from Hinduism were written in. Some really old, really sacred texts are written in Sanskrit, and I think families in the East, especially India, there's like a romantic attachment to that past. Whereas here in the West, I feel like Latin people don't feel that same way. They do study it, but it's more because like, oh, this is gonna help me on my SATs or something like that. Not because their parents were like, yo, this is some cool shit from like back in the day or something. That's just the vibe I get. So I ended up not going with something Sanskrit because I didn't find something else that I found to be as cool. So then I was thinking about Greek. I mean, obviously I'm Greek, but the best thing I wanted to go with was MC Aletheia, because Aletheia is the Greek word for truth, but there's already a band called Aletheia, and I could keep thinking about other stuff in Greek. There's plenty of words, but I kind of, I don't know, moved on from that. People know I'm Greek, and I'll probably have like songs or lines or a whole fucking EP or something, I don't know, about some sort of Greek something. I mean, I love mythology. I might do some sort of project that's not only Greek mythology, but all mythology. Anyway, I moved on from that, and as I mentioned, this Dr. Jackson Crawford guy, I'm very interested in Norse mythology, in pre-Christian Scandinavia, their way of life. Wardruna is a really big part of what got me into that, probably the biggest. I got into Wardruna before watching Vikings. A lot of people watch Vikings and then they hear some of Wardruna's music, because the makers of the show use some Wardruna tracks in their soundtrack. I can't blame them because it's very fitting and it works. But Vikings is a cool show too, and there's a show called The Last Kingdom that I just started watching, and I don't know, I have a lot of interest in Norse mythology slash history. And so that's where MC Kenaz came from, especially these runes. I'm gonna link the etymology and the history of the word rune. It's extremely interesting, and you can see if for yourself if you want. But that's how I came to try and go with MC Kenaz. But I don't love that, and for something that I'm gonna identify as for the rest of my life, I want to love it. So I'm not gonna be MC Kenaz. I just don't. It's not the proper name of the rune. It is a accepted or unaccepted name of the rune, but I'm not about that. And so I am going to be MC Aegir. Now, sticking with the Nordic theme, Aegir is the Old Norse word for sea or ocean. Aegir was a figure in Norse mythology. He was a Jotun or a giant. You have the gods and you have the giants, oftenly depicted as like completely different entities, like different species and stuff. They're not a different species originally. I mean, Odin's mom is a giantess. There's a lot of like, I mean, they are gonna battle each other in Ragnarok, but there is like intermarrying that happens between the gods and the giants. There are amicable interactions at times. It's not like they are sworn enemies that never interact with each other and hate each other, but then at the same time they don't love each other. They're kind of like rival families within the cosmos. Now Aegir was a giant, and he would host these like elaborate parties in Asgard, and he was one of the gods' favorite giants. Also one of the older giants within the whole, I don't know, scheme of things. His siblings are, I can't remember their names, but they're fire and wind. So when you have like sea, fire, and wind, this has a very like old kind of feel to it. If you look up Aegir, it might say God of the Sea, but he's, I'd say, not the primary Nordic god of the sea. You'd probably find Njordr for that. He, so like I said, the word means sea. I like the association with the ocean. His wife is Ron, and Ron. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that A. And she also has an association with the sea. Together they have 9 daughters who are considered to be waves, or the spirits of waves. And I think that's cool. I mean, because if you think about it, myself and a producer, or at least myself and the work of a producer, the beat they make, right? In a sense, we fuck, and then that creates offspring that I can't make that by myself, and the beat or the producer can't make that by themselves. So in a perfect world, the fusion of my vibrations coming from my mouth and the vibrations that come from the music, we create waves that are ideally pleasant on the ear, right? Because it's all, everything is vibrations. And so I like the thought of, and I like the sound of MC Aegir. Another little side note on Aegir is they consider it to be like not only Aegir, but the word for the like top family of gods in Norse mythology. They're considered to be the Aesir or the Aesir gods. There's also the Vanir gods, which are like kind of subordinate. This word Aesir, they consider it to be like pre-Norse linguistically. You don't really find that in a lot of like Scandinavian names and stuff. It goes back to some ancient Indo-European language, because Sanskrit, as I mentioned, and it's kind of funny that these things that I naturally found interest in, they're all from the same branch of the language tree. They all come from Proto-Indo-European. Sanskrit, Greek, Latin is from this branch, and then Proto-Germanic is what like leads into kind of like Old Norse and all the different stuff. Proto-Germanic is the one that we found written evidence of the latest, but that's just because those people were the least inclined to write. I mean, it was very oral traditions, passing down poems and stories orally. But this word, or this root, they think is pretty ancient. You see it in like, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Ahuda Mazda or Zoroastrianism, but Ahuda is from that same root. It's cognate with like Aesir or whatever. Then if you look at there's the Asuras in like Hinduism, and they have more of a negative or evil connotation, if I'm not mistaken, but also just kind of like this kind of, there's greatness or mightiness or like power about them. And I'm pretty sure it's the same with Ahuda Mazda. Like I mentioned, Mazda, I'm pretty sure means wisdom. Zoom zoom. And then so it's cool that, and then another side note, I almost feel like this is part of why George R.R. Martin named the most like fabled, most powerful, most legendary figure in his whole world that he created, Aegon, right? It's got that same like, I mean, it's in his name. He's great. Aegon the Conqueror, or whatever they called him. I think it was Aegon the Conqueror, yeah. And so I'm going to be MC Aegir. And I'm sorry for the, misdirection. And I meant to do this video sooner. I've been busy, and I wanted a nice sunny day to do this outside and shine some light on my tattoo, give you a good look and a good explanation. So I'm going to be MC Aegir. I still get to be like a conduit, and if people, want to look up my name after they find me because they're into hip-hop or whatever, then they can be like, oh shit, like, some like ancient fucking giant from Norse mythology that was like basically the master of ceremonies in Asgard, hosting these parties for the gods and shit, and he has this association with the ocean. His name means sea or ocean. That's pretty cool. And so, and I like how it sounds. So I'm going to be MC Aegir. Sorry that I am indecisive. And then the last thing, I guess, is, let's see, is this a good angle? Where is the sun at? This tree has all sorts of, shout outs to this fucking tree. And I'm probably not going to do this for too long because it's still kind of a new tattoo. I don't want the sun on it for too long, but I did want to give you a good look. And I might not, now there's a rune in the middle there. I literally have a rune on my arm, and that's thanks to Wardruna more than anything else. But it goes to show I'm not lying about my interest in this stuff. I got this about, I think, exactly 3 weeks ago now. And like I said, my name means rock or stone. Hopefully that was a good enough look. Maybe I'll, because I don't want it in the sun too long. But I got a tattoo. My name means rock or stone. I love hiking. I love being outside. Usually I hike on Thursdays. Today I'm meeting up with my boy Sam, the one and only Mr. Fury. And I slept in. I stayed up late last night, actually watching that show, The Last Kingdom. It's pretty sick. What else about my tattoo? The rune that I have there is the Udal rune. They used it to make the O sound back in the day, and it means inherited property or heritage. Means both those things, and for me, it's a reminder to haul ass for my kids, if I have kids, that they have some sort of, resources off the jump so that they can thrive and not just survive and have to scratch and claw. Not that I'll spoil my kids if and when I have kids, but it's the rune that's more about family than any other rune. And if you listen to the song Udal by Wardruna, Einar Selvik has his children sing in that track, and I mean he says it's because like that's the rune that is basically for family, And think about like you don't just inherit like a house or material property, but you inherit your bloodline. You inherit where you're from in the world, and I think that's kind of the heritage aspect of it. But might do one more look at the ink for all of you, and then cut this video where it's at. It's been long enough. I don't even know if I can fucking upload so long of a video to YouTube. But and now I'm in the dark, of course. But that's it. One more time. Got some trees, sun setting, and yeah, mountains, because I fucking love mountains. I think that's it. I think I've gone on long enough, and kudos to anyone that stuck with me the whole way. I hope you learned something, and I'll leave some links for anyone fascinated by the stuff that I mentioned, whether it be linguistic stuff or mythological stuff or what have you, or what have I guess, because I'm the one that did all this. Anyway, I'm done. Peace out. MC Aegir, not MC Kenaz. Later.